Hi guys, this is Kayla.
And this is Becky, and we're with a couple of bees to read, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
We've been on a break.
We have a nice break, got a lot of reading done.
Yes, we did, and had a lot of things to share with y'all. And the first thing we're going to share is our sparkling white wine from Scout and Cellar. I love the name. It's called Tickle Bumps. We have never had anything from this winery before. Okay, and I even broke out my fancy glasses from when I got married, and they are now considered antiques since that was 45 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Happy New Year.
I love the sparkly. Oh, I like that. I don't always like champagne or, sparkling whites, but I like that. It's
got just enough bubbles,
yes,
to make it interesting.
Right.
But to me, it tastes almost like a Chardonnay.
It does. And that's the main grape that this comes from, is a Chardonnay.
So that makes sense.
Yes. And I don't know how it's possible for something to taste sweet and then have a bit of acidic or tart flavor. I guess it's the way it falls on your tongue. In one place it tastes kind of sweet, and then as it falls back you get that little bit of acidic aftertaste, but it's a very good combination, almost like the sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Although it's not sour, but it's very light and fresh. I like that. So Tickle Bumps, and they have a sparkling rosé, and then they have the sparkling white. And I will say this is a Scout Circle kind of exclusive. So if you go and try to get the sparkling white by Tickle Bumps, you may not find it on there unless you're a member of Scout Circle.
Okay.
And Scout Circle is where you can purchase either 4 bottles, 6 bottles, or 12 bottles. You can get all red, all white, or a mixture, and you can have it sent monthly. You can have it sent, twice a year or 3 times a year. Whatever. We have multiple options on that. And I get the 6 bottles every month, and I get I like the variety because they always surprise us. And so, but this actually came in a sale that we had right before Christmas. It was 4 bottles for $99. Some of the highest priced wines, like this is like, I don't know, a $38 or $40 bottle of wine. But for $99, I also got a Middle Jane and a couple other. So it was really, really good.
So as always, you can find the link to our Scout and Cellar store in the info under the video. So make sure to check that out. Or if you're watching on the blog, it's right there in the blog post.
That's right. So, all right, time to start a new year with a new book. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I have the best book to review. Of course, it's from our favorite Aardvark book club, and it's The Fiction Writer. And this is my December pick. It's by Julian Cantor. And I liked, the little synopsis of it. And I'll just read a little bit because I have to be real careful because this book has quite a few twists in it. Here lately, I've been reading books that most books have 1 or 2, but I think the last 3 or 4 I've read, there's been multiple twists in them. And this one I didn't get until I was told at the very end, the very last thing that happened. So, but this is about a literary star. Her name is Olivia Fitzpatrick. Okay.
Fitzgerald?
No, Fitzgerald, not Fitzpatrick. Fitzgerald, but that's not her real name. Her real name is Vinan Monken or something, and her agent's like, no. We're going to keep the letter, but we're going with something more literary. And she writes a book, All the Little Lights, and it does really well. And It's really about her mother. It's fiction, but it is about her mother who died in a car wreck. Okay, and there's a whole story behind that, which I won't tell you. You'll have to read. But then she comes out. She has always loved the book Rebecca, so she comes out with a second book, and it's called Becky. Becky, because my Rebecca spelled just like that Rebecca, and she's always been so her favorite book ever. And so she writes it from the point of view of Rebecca's ghost. It's like, and she's the first, she's the first wife who dies, and then there's a second wife, and all this different stuff happens. And if you've ever read Rebecca, you know the story. But this time it's from the ghost of the first wife, and her name is Becky, and she goes on with that. And it just has so many twists. He's not really a recluse. He is a bit eccentric, but he's a multi-billionaire. He's the head of a super chain store that his grandfather started. And it's like his grandmother died early and his mother dies early. And it's just keeps running in this family. And the family has kind of like the story of Rebecca. Everything that happens in there seemed to have happened to this family too. Well, he hires her. She's down on her luck because Becky came out and had a terrible review. And from there, it was just like disaster. And instead of this big launch that they were expecting by the time it actually launched, she was lucky to sell 1,000 copies after her previous novel had sold over 100,000, and everybody was really anticipating this new novel. And she had just finished her third novel, which was more autobiographic, even though she did it with a fictional twist. And she couldn't. Her publisher was like, "Nah, not happening. This is terrible." She was like a pariah now in the industry and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden her boyfriend leaves her, and she gets Fish as companion, and 5 of them die. And she's just, if you're just talking down on your luck, this poor girl is just, Livia's just had it. And then out of the blue, her agent calls and goes, "Hey, I have a proposition for you. It is a write for hire. She's going to be a ghostwriter," which is something when she was younger. I'm not going to be a ghostwriter. Why would I write for somebody else? I want to write under my own name, And she said, well, that's kind of ironic, which I'm technically not writing under my own name anyway. But anyway, it goes on. And so she goes out, and this is the man. She can't believe that this man wants her to be the ghostwriter. Well, she has, of course, to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. And what he does, he finds his grandmother's journals. And he says that Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca, stole his story from his grandmother. And she's like, "Well, how did this happen? Did they know each other?" Because they would be approximately the same age if his grandmother hadn't died. And there's all these twists and turns in it, little ones here and there. And every time she tries to delve into the story, it's like he brushes her off. And now you walk in and you see this tall, dark, handsome, blue-eyed man, multi-billionaire, been voted sexiest man on earth like 2 or 3 times by People magazine. And, she's like, it's almost, she said, I'm in his presence, I can't breathe. He's just too pretty and all this kind of stuff. And so she's got all this going on with her, and it's just a lot. And she ends up meeting his step-grandmother, and there's a live-in housekeeper that is the cousin to his young wife that died a year ago. And so, like I said, when this family has everything that seems to be the retelling of Rebecca generation after generation after generation, because his mom dies early, his grandmother dies early, and his wife dies early, and what in the world is going on in this family? And then she's just so down on her luck that she's grasping at straws, because he's going to pay her $50,000. And she's like, man, that's a lot of rent. I need that. And there's some romance involved. Her old high school best buddy still lives in California, so she has to leave from the East Coast to go to the West Coast, and she meets up with him again. And Noah has always been in love with her, but she really didn't see that or anything, and so they haven't been in touch for a long time. But anyway, I'm saying a lot to say nothing, because I keep saying, what if I said this? I'm just telling you, it was a great book. I could not put it down, and that's about all I can tell you about it without giving it away. And just know that the great-grandmother figures in, or the step-grandmother figures in, the housekeeper figures in, there's a driver, there's all these little characters that have something going on in the story, a little side thing, and it's just really, really interesting. I mean, just enough to keep you interested and not too much to overwhelm you.
Right.
Okay? So definitely, if you're not a member of Aardvark, check it out. Pick this book up. It's fabulous. And like I said, Julian Cantor, 5 stars on The Fiction Writer. It is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, guys, until next time. Bye.